You're listening to The Arms Room on the Vets on Media Network.
Oh, are we on now? How about a cue over there? Mason, what is this?
He
Day
did.
one?
I don't know.
Jiminy Christmas.
This is only number 3.
Welcome to The Arms Room with Glenn
And John.
and Mason.
And Mason.
Hey, how could I've had a complaint last week, Mason, about you.
I doubt it.
Ooh. Somebody wore their big boy pants to work today.
Fired. The complaint was that they couldn't hear you.
Oh. Well, I might have had the mic off a time or two. That's my bad.
Well, you were trying to talk and they couldn't hear you.
I try to talk.
So the complaint is you're distracting if they can't hear you.
All right. I'll be sure to leave my microphone on for the rest of the show.
I think off would be more appropriate.
Yeah. I second your notion.
All right.
Bye.
All right. Did you introduce yourself, John? Did you say hi?
I did.
I'm John.
I did.
All right.
Hi, I'm John.
I'm John. And we also have Brian in the studio with us today.
Hi, I'm Brian.
Turn his mic up. Mason, crying out loud, man.
Fail again. Over.
Take
over.
it out of his
over
guy's
again.
paycheck. All right.
Don't we know that guy's boss?
I
Can't
know,
we do
right?
something about this?
Boss is over there right now trying to fix stuff. What the hell is this word? All right. So we've got some interesting stories to talk about.
Oh, do we?
Yeah, we do. Before we
All
get
right.
started on the
Well,
topic
let's-
at hand.
Let's see what Mr. Stilson has for us this morning.
All right. So first of all, and I know you went and saw it too. I went and saw John Wick.
Holy shit.
Now, here's the deal about this movie. I had never even heard of it until like 2 days before I saw some half of a trailer online, and I thought, well, it looks kind of mildly interesting, but not
It's an action flick.
amazing.
You know.
And then a friend of mine came in from out of town and was like, "Hey, man, we should go see a movie, and I want to go see this one." Yeah, sure, I'll go. Just go hang out with him, go see whatever. And so we go see this movie, John Wick.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Keanu Reeves. All right,
Mm.
whatever. I'll go see it. Holy crap! That was an awesome movie. Awesome movie.
Yes, it was.
Oh, it was great. Great fight scenes, great gunplay. For those of you in the know, it was like ECQC on the big screen.
Yeah.
Holy mackerel.
There was a lot of high retention shooting going on in that
There
movie.
was retention shooting, there was face shooting, there was dick shooting, there was it was fantastic. There was much fantasticalism. I'll use that.
Stop making up words.
Hey, my mic is
Jesus.
echoing. It's echoing to you guys.
Yeah, it's a little loud.
A little
It's
echoey.
echoey really bad over here, Mason. I sound like I'm in a bathroom taking a dump talking on this radio show. That's confusing to me.
Which is great because YouTube's not working today, so that's exactly what everybody now sees.
Oh, YouTube's not working today?
No, I'm playing.
Oh. I was like, I want everyone to see me on the toilet taking that dump.
It's not
We'll
special if you
gain
can't share it.
1,000 viewers by that.
Yeah,
All right.
that's not creepy at all, there, buddy. I want everybody to watch me poop.
So, so the first thing is cool John Wick. All right. Other cool thing, a couple things I want to mention to our Facebook fans. We've got some cool posts up on our Facebook page we made last week. I want you to go check out. There, that's much better. Thank you.
Yes.
First one is from our good friend Jason over at TCB. He has an article called The Total Carry System, which is what he came on our show to talk about months ago. And so his article is available on Iron Mike Magazine, which is another one of our good friends over there, Brian. And so make sure you go onto our Facebook page, check that out, ironmikemag.com, and you can find the TCB Total Carry System. And we've got a link to it on the Facebook page. So that's number one. Two, if you're interested in hunting at all, another one of my articles for Western Whitetail came out. We posted that on the Arms Room page. It is about the importance of dope. Now, settle down, Adam, because we're talking about shooting dope. All right? And
I don't know that helped you.
I'm leaving.
and so the importance of shooting dope and as it applies to hunting, because there's just not a lot of people out there in the hunting communities who really think about, ballistics and trajectories and things like that, and how different temperatures or altitudes or wind or anything, affect their rifle. And so that's a big part of what the article
I
is
zeroed
about.
last year. I should be good, right?
Yeah, I zeroed at 1,000 feet and I'm going to hunt at 7,000 feet. Nothing should change, right? Well,
Yeah, no, nothing at all.
and now I want to make a 500-meter shot on a moving elk or something like that. So,
They move?
Yeah, shockingly, they're not just like a paper target; they just freaking stand there. So another thing that we posted up there is from over at Independence Training. we posted our new videos that Brian's in as well. The gun safe roundup shooting exercise.
That was a lot of fun.
It was a blast.
It was a lot of fun.
And if you want to see mini me on video rocking some guns, make sure that you go check that out too. There's a second version of that video called.
I thought I was doing good, but I'm a little. He was impressive.
And you know what the most impressive
Mini
thing?
Glenn shoots.
Let me tell you about the most impressive thing about my son. He can shoot. He can work the guns. I mean, he works them all, like ARs, AKs, but he was running all of them just fine.
Indexing his fingers.
How freaking safe
dude,
he is.
I'm talking like
It amazes me how safe that
it
kid
was
is.
impressive.
He's incredible. His safety is amazing.
I
Just
love your
his
humbleness
conscious
about
safety.
it too. You're just.
He's a boss, dude. I don't know what to tell you.
It's my boy.
It's awesome. All right, so there's some things you can go check out on the Arms Room Facebook page. Lots of cool stuff on there. And so make sure if you've got any comments or questions for us today that you check out our Facebook page and you leave a comment on the We're Live post so we can address your comments or questions. And our call-in number is 602-399-7787. Now, let's talk about dick shooting. All right, so there was this Army lieutenant who we posted this story on our Facebook page as well. And there was this Army lieutenant who was with his girlfriend. And I'm going to make this story short. Basically, this thug comes up, has a knife. He's threatening this Army lieutenant, and his wife. And the guy's got a gun. And so like a half a dozen times he warns the guy, I'm going to shoot you. I'm going to shoot you. I'm going to shoot you. Finally, he pulls the gun out. There's more verbal this and that. I mean, the guy's got a knife. He's obviously a threat. Then the lieutenant decides to shoot him, and he shoots him in the old baby maker. And so the question that we kind of posed to people was, A, did this guy say back up too many times, which is part of what we're going to talk about today? And B, did this guy, appropriately really put his shots on target? Because the problem is in the article, and I don't know if he said this for legal reasons, but based on his behavior, I'm going to say he probably didn't say it for legal reasons, is he said, well, look, I didn't really want to kill the guy. I just wanted him, I just wanted to wound him. I wanted him to go away. And it's like,
decision.
Dude, I mean, if the dude's coming at you with a knife and he's willing to do violence and you're not, you got to,
especially with your wife, your kids,
whoever,
his girlfriend or wife or whoever. And I didn't really want to kill him. So he gets past you. And now what? Terrible decision.
So that's one story. That's story number one. Story number two is similar. Also involves a vet. This guy is a National Guardsman, Air National Guardsman, who was carrying a firearm and was in the parking lot with his family coming out of Walmart, and he heard a woman screaming, basically calling for help. And we'll post this story up later. But essentially, he was armed. He had a gun, and he approached the situation. He thought, in fact, he says, let me see, and I quote, he says, I thought really hard about drawing my gun. I didn't have to draw. He knew I was armed, and at that point, he became a little more cooperative. I was pretty forceful in demanding him to put the knife down. And then the story goes on about how he handled the situation. And it's all very great. He saved this woman's life. It was all very awesome. He was there. He was willing to do what he needed to do. He was willing to get involved. He was willing to do violence to stop violence, which is important. You have to speak the language, man. You can't go to Germany and freaking speak Russian, right? You got to go to Germany and speak German, right? So it's kind of the same idea of if you're going into a violent situation, you got to speak violence. And so this guy was really willing and capable of doing that, and did a really phenomenal job of going in with a firearm, having that tool available, but ended up in the end not having to draw it. And so
the part I love about this though is didn't draw it.
Didn't have to
use it, so he didn't draw it. Mm-hmm. If I'm not going to use it, it's not coming out. It doesn't come out until it's time to put somebody down. There's no leg shooting. There's no injuring. There's no. This guy's doing harm. He's doing physical damage to me, to my family, to whoever it is. When the gun comes out, it goes to work.
And that's the reason I brought these two stories up, and they just kind of coincidentally happened. And the reason that I brought him up was simply because of our topic today. So in one, the guy says, back up, back up, back up. I'm sure as he's saying back up, he's probably backing up, which is usually what people do, which is terrible.
Victim mindset, right?
Exactly. There. And so he's going back up, back up. He finally brings the gun in. He finally goes to work. He shoots the guy. But it's not. Yeah, but I mean, it's not really that great of a shot. He doesn't really, yes, he stops the fight, which in the grand scheme of things we could call a win. But the whole idea is when he brought his gun out, a weapon capable of doing, a certain thing, he wasn't willing or capable of doing a certain thing. And so that's a problem. Then we see in story number 2, guy is armed, but not necessarily, or I should say, understanding that that's not necessarily required.
Sure. Well, having the tool is only part of the job. You got to know how to use it.
And so that's what we're going to talk about today. So Brian is in the studio today. He is one of the instructors over at Independence Training. He primarily teaches the combatives classes, his weekly combative defense tactics class, which is based on your combatives experience from the military and martial arts and all that good stuff.
It's a large repertoire.
Corrections, all kinds of stuff.
A little bit of time in corrections, some time in the infantry, is a little bit of time as my unit level, company level combatives instructor, helping out there. And really what I've done is I've taken a whole lot of experience and I've gotten rid of a whole bunch of junk that we learned in the martial arts world, and I've put it down to scenarios in real life situations. What works, what doesn't work. And not just that, there's a lot of things that work that I don't teach because they're overcomplicated for a high stress and situation, or, let's be honest, a lot of people interested in this kind of stuff, it's generally women. Well, teaching a 110 pound woman to defend herself against a 200 pound guy who has ill intent, I'm not going to teach her how to put wrist locks on him. I'm not going to teach her how to try and do backflips.
How to try to take the gun out of his hand. Stupid shit that you typically see get taught in those kind of
exactly.
classes.
My whole purpose in what I do for myself and what I want to pass on to other people is how to get the hell out of the situation. So everything's based on escape. If I can escape before it happens, fantastic. However,
but it's a violent escape.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I want to hurt somebody because running away is no good if he's chasing me.
Right. right.
You never know. I'm not much of a sprinter.
So our topic today that we're going to focus on is why you. And when I say you, I mean everybody, even those of us sitting at the table who are well trained, even those of us sitting here, or those people who are listening who are all well trained. Why you need to learn still more about how to fight without a gun, because the fact of the matter is 95% of the time you're probably not going to need that gun.
I'd say it's even higher than that.
It's probably higher than
that. I'd say it's over 99% because we're even as an armed citizen, as a citizen, period, the odds of you being involved in any type of violent encounter, crime, or anything like that, it's around 1%. So of that 1% of the time that it does happen, how much of that 1% of the time is the gun going to be the answer? Are you going to be able to employ the gun based on where you're at, what you're doing, the position you find yourself in? I mean, there's a lot of factors that go into this. So I would say, it's 99% of 99%.
There's so much involved in making the decision. There's so much involved in getting to that point and understanding. And it's not just, am I legally justified, but you've got to worry about the civil aspects of things. You have to worry about the legal aspects of things. And there are cases where you're legally justified, but court law being different than written law, if somebody can contest and say, this didn't work, you didn't have to shoot that person, now you're in trouble. And so if you can't CYA, which is, can you articulate, then you've put yourself in a really bad situation. And then, you've got situations like this lieutenant where I didn't want to kill him, so I purposely shot. Now you're admitting to purposely shooting this guy in the leg, or in this case, the third leg. So now you've got a situation where you're facing possible civil issues because now this guy can't function in society any longer, and you did that to him on purpose.
Now, and some of that depends on the state you're at.
Absolutely.
Like in Arizona, we've got the Victims Protection Act, which protects us against stuff like that. But not everywhere has that.
No.
And still, you're still potentially open to civil suits and all kinds of other things. Plus, that all starts to call into mention, like, well, look, if you were able to just shoot this guy, if your intention was just to wound him, well, why can't you just get away, kind of thing. So there's a lot of legal mumbo jumbo that starts to happen when you are intentionally wounding somebody, especially when you're admitting to it. But there's also the legal, in fact, let me back up for a second. So I was talking to my dad on the way down here, talking to him on the phone. And he was we were kind of talking about this topic a little bit. And one of the things he said was there was this family that we knew growing up when I was a kid who they always used to brag about all these. And we lived in a very, very small town, very, very small. And they were always bragging about how many times they had to pull their guns. Oh, we pulled our guns here, and we pulled our guns there, and we pulled our guns there, and we pulled our guns here. And they always, kind of made it sound like a bravado thing. Like, oh yeah, this guy cut us off. So we followed him to his house, and then we got out, this and that. And everyone guns came out, and, we scared the hell out of them. Or, they were ranchers, and someone came on our land. And so we went up to them, guns drawn, get the hell off our land kind of stuff. And it's like, whoa. They had all these stories about all these times they had to pull their guns. And so the problem is that literally every friggin' story they told could have been handled without guns. And did these guns give them kind of a false sense of bravado? And of course, the answer is yes.
How many people don't know how to use that gun when it comes out?
And so the problem is were those people honestly, no joke, willing to kill people? I don't think so. I think they were just using those guns as a source of power. And so the other problem that comes with that is now look at all these legal implications. And the reason I say that is I'm going to steal a 2-line quote here from our friend Craig Douglas when he says, inappropriate timing decision, inappropriate extension, or in his voice, inappropriate time. Am I good at that? Do I sound like
it's
in
close.
My head? It sounds just like Craig.
It's close.
Okay,
it's close. Inappropriate.
Inappropriate time and decision, inappropriate extension.
We love you, Craig. So looking forward to next year, buddy.
Yeah.
So the
Enjoy
point,
ECQC next time around.
yeah, right. Next time you should be like kicking my ass. Inappropriate timing extension. So the point is that. The whole idea is most people, when they bring the gun out, it's an inappropriate time to bring it out. Whether it's inappropriate because they're too close to somebody. I mean, the fact of the matter is, if I'm close enough to reach out and touch someone's elbow,
close. I'll take it away from you.
I'm too close. And now we're going to get in a fight for the gun. Even if I'm not with someone who's well trained and they're just trying to not get shot, because people tend to have that.
You said it yourself. The gun is my source of power. That's my leveling tool, my source of power. All right. So if I put myself in a situation where I draw the firearm, and as you say, we're close enough to touch, you're going to put your hands on my gun. Right. You're not going to allow me to.
I don't want to get shot.
You're not going to allow me to.
I don't have to be that well trained to not want to get shot.
I don't want to get shot. Listen, everybody. I don't want to get shot.
Yeah, exactly.
What's the first rule of a knife fight?
Don't want to get stabbed.
You're going to get cut. I don't want to be in a knife fight. I don't want to get cut. I don't want to get shot. And so, as soon as I can get control, if you're threatening me with a weapon and we're arms distance, if you pull your firearm on me from here, I'm probably not going to pull mine out. I'm probably going to reach for yours also and try and get space and situational control. I'm all about controlling the situation. And in doing that, that gives me a leg up over whatever's going on.
And that's where you see, I think, the major fault in how most people look at their gun. They look at their gun as like, well, if someone attacks me, then I'm going to be able to then shoot them. Sure. So
it's like a holy grail.
It is kind of like the holy grail. We call it the magic talisman.
The magic talisman.
The magic talisman. I bought this gun, and at that day at the range, after I bought it, I put 50 rounds through it to break it in.
Yep.
And now I'm ready to shoot somebody.
And now I'm going to carry it around, and if someone attacks me, by God, I've got the means to stop them. Well, the problem is now that person is in arm's reach, and I try to pull out that gun in the traditional method of full extension and inappropriate timing, and the next thing you know, I'm in a fight for the gun, or I'm firing rounds and not hitting my target, or whatever.
The rule of thumb is 21 feet and 1 second or whatever it is that somebody can close.
2.5 seconds.
2.5 seconds. Okay.
Yeah, the average adult covers 8 to 12 feet per second running. That's a sprint.
That's really fast. That's not a lot of time. And let's be honest, you teach small arms training. How many people at 7 meters, approximately 21 feet, can put rounds on target in a standing position, no stress, no anything?
Effectively 100% of the time. And not as many as I wish could.
So, sure. And so by the end of the class, everybody's doing better. They're more comfortable, and that's just a matter of using it. Sure. Well, the same thing goes with hand-to-hand stuff. You have to practice it. You have to train it. You have to do it repetitively. Now, that's the advantage of, if you go to somebody who's teaching self-defense tactics, there's a big difference between self-defense tactics and martial arts.
Okay.
Now, all of this stems from martial arts in some way, shape, or form. No doubt about it. You can't argue that. And people say, "Oh, if I'm going to take a martial art, what am I?" I don't know. Find out who in your area.
I had that question last night, actually.
Oh my gosh! Find out who in your area trains what. Figure out what you want to do. Anything you do is going to give you a little bit of an advantage in a situation. But when it comes to actual self-defense, if I could recall the thousands of muscle memory hours I spent learning the wrist locks and arm bars that I know.
Don't forget the katas I know from Taekwondo, my friend.
Oh yes, still, because those punches are so effective too. And big.
John's seen my high kick. I can high kick like a mofo, dude.
If you're fighting Mini-Me,
I am fighting.
if you're fighting Mini Glenn, then yeah,
I'm not as flexible as I used to
you
be.
could kick
John,
him in the
okay?
head.
I think I pulled something just thinking about that.
So, quick question, or a kind of an expansion, I should say, in addition to what you're doing. On our Arms Room page, our good friend Jason, he mentioned you guys had a conversation about the idea of violently escaping and using escape as a base for self-defense. And so his thing is he wants you to expand a little bit on your idea of violently escaping. That your reasoning, he really likes your reasoning for having women's classes versus women's self-defense theories. And so it kind of expand a little bit more on your idea of escape as a base. Because here's the thing, as guys, and here's let me before you start, let me kind of clarify this. A lot of people start thinking about fighting classes and they go, oh, well, a women's self-defense class is all this because I'm a guy and I know how to, what do they say? I know how to shoot, fight, drive, and, get some loving.
Brown chicken, brown can.
And all guys think that until they do any of those four things.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And so the idea is most people don't know how to fight. And most people's fighting experience comes from a scuffle they had at a bar or in high school.
And I held my own.
Sports, and I held my own.
That guy didn't actually want to hurt you.
He didn't want to freaking kill you. Or steal your shit or rape your wife or
rape you for that matter.
Rape you or whatever, And so when you start looking at like the idea of guys, go, oh yeah, my wife needs to take a self-defense class because I can hold my own. I work out every day and I'm a big badass. And it's like, that's cool. But most people who will fight guys like any of us sitting at this table, we're not special looking guys.
There's a couple things you need to understand about fighting.
All of a sudden, people find themselves in pretty deep shit. So
first and foremost, it's exhausting.
It is.
It's exhausting. If you jiu-jitsu guys, you wrestler guys, ground fighting guys, if you've ever grappled on the ground for more than a minute straight, you're tired, you're sweaty, you're out of breath. It's terrible.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
All right. So when we talk about getting out of there, all right, you got to understand a couple of things. You can get to a point where you defend yourself. You can hurt somebody in a self-defense situation. You can hurt them pretty badly and be okay. But when you use that for a method other than escape, you quickly turn my self-defense situation into an assault situation. And that is no joke. You can get in a lot of trouble. There's a lot of people that have had legitimate self-defenses out there that are doing time in prison right now. And that's another place I don't ever want to be. Again.
So expand, and by again, Brian doesn't mean he's a felon. He means he worked there. All right. Let's clarify that.
I was just gonna let that one go, man. I wasn't gonna say anything.
That's why I got these teardrop tattoos, bitches. Talk about. So let's go back to that violent escape thing. And the whole reason I wanted to kind of make that clarification of these classes aren't just for women. This is for everybody. So the guys go, I don't want to escape because I'm a badass. I want to hold my own. So keep going.
But you do, because all right. So we've got theories out there. We've got the puncher's chance. We've got things like that. And Jason and I have had a couple pretty in-depth conversations about all this stuff. And Jason is a pretty big jiu-jitsu guy. And one of the things I like about Jason is his understanding. He's a fan of our friend Cecil Birch. And he's been to a couple of those courses. And he talks about, one of the cool things about guys teaching self-defense is they're instantly like, I don't want to be on the ground now.
Right.
I need to get away. You don't know if there's another attacker. And so the whole point to this is basically when a situation arises, when I can put hands on somebody legitimately, I don't want to wrestle with that person. I don't want to grapple with that person. I don't want to get exhausted. I need to be able to get out of there. So I want to hurt them. I want to hurt them badly enough that they can't pursue me.
Right.
I don't want to piss them off and have them come at me even stronger with the adrenaline and aggression of, F you, that hurt.
Right.
No, I want it to really hurt.
Debilitating.
I want them to not be able to stand up and walk away. All right. Now, I'm not talking about tearing somebody's throat out. I don't even know where else in Hollywood to go with that because there's plenty of places. But I am talking about, I'm a big fan of things like knee strikes to the thighs. I want to debilitate those muscles. I want to damage that femur bone. I want to bruise down. In my experience and things that have happened to me, a shot to the thigh, properly thrown, is way more painful than a kick to the nuts. My wife literally,
and there's a lot more guaranteed.
You separate the muscle fiber, you get down to the bone, you're going to at least cause bruising all the way through and through, if not fracture the bone, stress fracture, whatever we're talking about. But the point is, he's going to drop like a bad habit. All right. This provides me the opportunity to back up from the situation. It gives me time to think. It gives me time to assess where I'm at. It gives me time to call 911. And, in a really cool situation, you're calling 911 and he sees you're calling 911. He can no longer pursue you. Suddenly you're like, yeah, it's the guy in the white and red Big Kahuna burger shirt. He's getting in his his Nissan Maxima, his license plate. Anytime
I
we
used to drive a Nissan Maxima.
I was trying to be discreet. I didn't realize that was once in your repertoire.
That's creepy that you know that.
I don't find that all that surprising that you would drive a Nissan Maxima.
When I was younger.
I know.
It had to have
phase?
a big back seat.
Yeah, is that what it was?
Yes.
Well, the Maxima was, I guess that was a pretty big back seat for, it was almost a full-size car.
We're going to expand on that, or we?
No, I think we should move on.
As we're talking about violently escaping.
Everybody makes mistakes.
Keep going.
Another place I don't ever want to be. All right. And so the whole purpose, though, is it's not a sanctioned fight. All right. So as we're talking about escaping, then we have to move on to that puncher's chance. And I like to use, everybody's hero, Muhammad Ali. There's the big conversation. If you go back and look at Muhammad Ali's fights and you look at how many of them were wins in the 12th rounds, well, that's what he's famous for, right? He's famous for bouncing off the ropes and pretending to be out of the fight. And if you go back and check some of those counts, if you can find that stuff online, there's a lot of those fights he was losing. There's a lot of those fights where he was not doing well because he just put his hands up and let them beat the hell out of him. When they were exhausted, because fighting is exhausting, he knocked them out. And then he won the fight. After an hour of being abused and beaten and battered, I win the fight. All right. So if your purpose is not to escape and you injure somebody, you hurt somebody, and suddenly they get their hands back on you, there's a chance that they're going to proceed with an even greater force of violence than they started with. Now you've not only encouraged them, but you've pissed them off. And so your intent has to be to get the hell out of there, especially if you're talking about a situation where you're defending your wife, your kids, whoever. All right, now I really want to hurt this guy because I might be able to outrun him. Maybe. I'm kind of slow. My wife might be able to outrun him, but I assure you neither one of us can outrun him from holding one of our children, And so now
your children can't outrun him.
Or my children can't outrun him. Exactly. And so in that situation, I don't have a choice in that situation is what it boils down to. All right. So we were talking about women's self-defense versus men's self-defense. The thing I discovered, I got into women's self-defense a long time ago, Colin, it kind of as a volunteer thing. I was asked, hey, can you put something together here? And sure, I threw something together. And I started to realize all the holes in people's self-defense tactics. A lot of people are like, oh, I got a black belt, or maybe I don't have a black belt. And they're going to come out there and teach women's self-defense. This has to be effective for, like I said, 100-pound human being versus a 200-pound human being. It has to work. It has to work fast. It has to give you the opportunity to get the hell out of there. All right. And when that's done, they have to be confident in what they're doing also, because without the confidence of it, and so we have to eliminate all those highly difficult, highly adaptable. Sorry, I just lost headphones for a second.
That's right. Keep going.
I got confused. You see, I've seen a lot of women teaching women self-defense, and they're teaching wrist locks. Why would you do that? Put a wrist lock on me right now. And I can't. Exactly. So
what are you going to do when there's a dude that's my size or larger trying to?
With a knife in his other hand. Now I've got both of my hands on your unarmed hand as you're stabbing me in the kidneys.
Right.
Glad I took this class.
Right.
All right. So what I found out is if this is effective when I teach women these moves, well, I'm going to throw out everything I used to do on my own, and I'm going to do this as a guy. So now we've got the concept, and Jason is a big fan of this concept of not women's self-defense, not men's self-defense, but this is self-defense, which is why our we offer the women's self-defense because a lot of times women are timid. They don't want to come to a class with guys and girls. But our combative tactics class, that is men and women. And a lot of our regular students are somewhere between the ages of 55 and 65 years old, and they come in there and they like it because I'm a big advocate of if this doesn't work for you, we need to make it work. Now, that doesn't mean you keep doing what I'm telling you to do until you figure it out. We have students with injured hands, with arthritis issues. We got students who aren't real, we've got a couple students who can't exactly run away. All right. So they're up, they're mobile, they can walk around, but they're not going to out sprint anybody who's trying to mug them or take their, purse, belongings, whatever. And so these people have to learn how to make it. So we'll transition moves. We'll be like, all right, you can't do that strike because you've got hand injuries and this is going to re-break or cause you excruciating pain. If you hurt yourself, you've put yourself in a really bad situation. And so we have to make it work. We have to make it effective, and we have to make it work for you. If you've got a condition where you can't straighten out your fingers. Thank you. Bear with me. If you can't straighten out your hands, well, I can't possibly teach you how to grab on or how to, in that aspect. We have to figure out how you can use that as some sort of hook, or you can start doing an overhand or an underhand strike. We have to transition that into a semi-hammer fist or what we call a knife hand. Even though the knuckles are curled, you can still throw an effective knife hand or use your forearm bones. And we're always looking to put hard parts of our bodies on soft parts of their bodies. And so the idea is that it's not women's self-defense. It's not men's self-defense. It's
keep going, Brian.
Thank you.
Sorry. I'm really glad Adam wasn't in here for that one, by the way.
I had to look at John for some support.
Mason, can we back that up?
I want to look at John for some support on that
This
one.
shit's live, bro.
That's all
It's
right.
live.
You want a mulligan?
If you ask Mason to rewind the show, he's going to delete the internet. All right?
Thank you. So, it's one of those moments where you look back and what the hell was I thinking? It's exactly where I was going.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Right. Well, we got to take a break real quick. We need to take a break. And when we come back, we're going to talk more about kind of the idea of violently escaping, but we're going to start talking about the types of techniques that you should be looking at doing and the types of fighting that you should be getting into. I had a question last night from another instructor who was like, well, I want to learn more about this. Who do I go to? What kind of thing am I looking for? So I want to talk more about that when we come back. We're here in the studio today with Brian Sinclair from Independence Training, talking about combatives and why you need to learn how to fight without a gun. We're going to take a short break. You are listening to The Arms Room.
Are you or someone you know looking for a new job or career? The Vets on Media family would like to invite you to the National Career Fair in Phoenix on November 17th from 11 until 2 p.m. This free job fair will be held at the Phoenix Airport Marriott Hotel, located at 1101 North 44th Street, Phoenix. This is your chance to meet some of the top employers in the Phoenix area face-to-face. Get ready to jumpstart your new career at the National Career Fair in Phoenix, November 17th from 11 until 2 p.m. at the Phoenix Marriott Hotel, 1101 North 44th Street, Phoenix. For more information, visit ncfairs.com/Phoenix. Again, that's ncfairs.com/Phoenix.
Breaker 19. How about that bandit? You got them ears on, son?
Have you ever wanted to be a truck driver? If so, pay attention. If not, pay attention anyway. Southwest Truck Driver Training offers everything you need to get started. You can get hired before you begin training. They've got GI Bill approved training facilities, day, night, or weekend programs to fit your busy schedule. And if you have any questions, no sweat. They've got veteran supportive campuses with veterans on staff to serve you. And on top of that, they have lifetime job placement assistance. Put the pedal to the metal. Call Southwest Truck Driver Training today.
Everyone's going to need an attorney at some point in their life. I'm no different. Hey everyone, it's James from Vets On. Whether it was my last will and testament before deployment or my ongoing custody battle for my children during my divorce, I needed help, so I lawyered up. If you need help, I urge you to contact Capstrom Law Firm. Capstrom Law Firm in Springfield, Missouri services clients throughout the state in criminal law, personal injury, and family law. With over 13 years practicing law, Tom Capstrom understands both law and court procedures and how stressful they can be. Let Tom Capstrom Law Firm and his dedicated staff take the stress and worry out of a difficult situation by calling him today. We feel so strong about the work that Tom and his staff are doing that he'll be a monthly guest on the show. Tom is a veteran and a listener, for God's sake, so you know the guy is solid and will fight for you. Give Tom a call today by calling 417-864-0552 or email Tom at capstromlaw.com. And don't forget to tell him that Vets On sent you.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertising.
If you or someone you know is looking for a new job or career, you need to visit the pros. National Career Fairs at ncfairs.com. National Career Fairs host over 300 career fairs a year nationwide. The events are free and give you the perfect chance to meet some of the top employers in your area face-to-face. To find the nearest career fair to you, visit ncfairs.com. Again, that's ncfairs.com. What are you waiting for?
You're listening to The Arms Room on the Vets on Media Network.
All right, you're back on the Arms Room. I'm still echoey, Mason.
Yeah, that just got weird again.
I'm echoey. Why am I echoey? I'm not taking a dump, I swear.
Well, this is live, so unless you've got a special chair, and if you got one of those chairs, I want one on this side too.
Yeah, I'm feeling.
Why do you think I'm always over here by myself?
I'm feeling a little cheated.
Yeah,
you'll be all right. Get over it.
Just relax.
All right, well, let's
so back on the topic at hand.
There you go.
All right, today we're talking about why you should learn to fight without a gun. We've got Brian Sinclair from Independence Training in here talking about why the need for self-defense is so important, not from a perspective of we're going to put this guy in a wrist lock and do all this kind of shit, but the idea of we need to violently escape a violent encounter. And what we mean by violently escape is we have to do a ton of damage to somebody before we create distance and make the next decision. It may be to continue to escape. At that point, it may be to draw a weapon. At that point, it may need to
depending on his actions,
call the cops
absolutely.
or whatever.
And so, and those of you that done the ECQC, you understand that, sometimes it doesn't stop. Sometimes they keep coming.
Yeah.
And so I need to, as we said, incapacitate that person to get to a point where I can draw my firearm. All right. So that philosophy of escape holds true whether you need to go that next step and use lethal force and get your gun out, or if you just need to get the hell out of there, whatever it is. All right. So the whole objective here is if I'm too close, we've already discussed, I can't get a firearm out of the holster.
Right.
So
it's dangerous to get a firearm.
It's dangerous, right? And so one of my things I like to teach, I teach break holds. I don't teach break holds for the effectiveness of a break hold, because somebody is always going to be strong enough to grab onto you and hold you in place no matter how you twist and pull your wrist.
Right.
All right. The purpose of this, and it's a real neat learning experience for the students, especially those that do carry firearms, is the break hold is a distraction. Okay. So when I start wrestling with you for you controlling my arm and pulling you closer to me, and you think I'm trying to get away and you focus on my hand, I'm punching you violently in the face really hard. I'm making things on your face do things they don't want to do. All right. I'm making you, as I like to say, not want to be where you're at. I'm changing your mind. Or as you teach, I'm changing your actions.
Your behavior, right?
Right. So if I need to do that, I have to, especially in that situation, get out of there so that I can draw a firearm without you putting your hands on it. And so what's funny is, even though I teach it this way to the students, is this is more of a distraction than an actual effective maneuver. The punch, the kick that follows it or coincides with it is the real purpose. That's what you need to focus on. And they still want to wrestle back and forth with their hand.
Right.
And so I explained to him, I said, now think about this. If you had your firearm in that hand, or let's say he pulled his firearm and you put your hands on him, all right, so now we're wrestling for the gun. How many people lose focus on that situation and they focus on, this is what I need to finish the job? Well, I can get to a point where I can start throwing kicks and punches at that point and debilitate you, put you out of the fight, and either get my firearm out of the holster or take yours away and defuse the whole situation, whatever it is, But in order to do that, it's all about distance, also all about creating distances. So if we focus on the escape, whether we have to return to the fight, at least we've gotten ourselves in a position where we can do so effectively.
And I think that's probably like the most important thing. And we've seen it in a lot of training classes, whether we're teaching our own force on force stuff, whether we're, hosting classes like ECQC, all the different types of training that I've been in and seen, real life circumstances, all that. You see people want to, they even the defender, so to speak, gets focused on the wrong thing. If a gun comes out, everybody's attention turns to the gun. If a knife comes out, if an object comes out, everybody's focus goes to that. Also, when someone starts doing a technique, they reach out, they grab a wrist.
Sure.
And now everyone's attention is focused on that wrist.
That wrist. I have another hand right here.
What the hell's your other hand doing? Down there. And so that's kind of what I want to get into next is, what are the techniques that people should be focusing on? Like, you've mentioned, you kind of hesitantly almost mentioned, I do teach break holds. You mentioned already, like, I'm not a fan of wrist locks and things like that, because here's the thing. Most people out there listening going, well, dude, I'll put a wrist lock on somebody and, put the freaking hurt storm on
You
them.
might. I'll probably break your knee in the process.
And that's true because on the average unknowing person,
sure,
I can grab someone and I can throw them into a wrist lock and I can do a lot of damage to them in the process as long as they don't anticipate whatever's coming.
Well,
so let's talk about that. Let's talk about the techniques that people should be focused on.
When we're talking about the wrist lock and stuff, I can attest to its effectiveness in a situation control. However, as far as a self-defense, all right, so as a corrections officer, being face-to-face with people much bigger, larger, and generally as a day-to-day basis, more violent than I am, all right, we use joint manipulation to get what we call pain compliance, or again, making them not want to be where they're at so they move in the direction you want them to move. Well, you get somebody big enough, you get somebody pissed off enough adrenaline, you have to put that person down to the ground in order to get control of that person. Well, in a situation where I don't want to go to the ground because I'm worried about multiple attackers, I'm worried about what's coming up behind me. We've seen the video where somebody's getting beat up and then his girlfriend comes over and kicks
somebody in the face.
Kicks the guy in the face, and then the skinny dude stands. I don't want that to happen to me in a self-defense situation. And so, excuse me. And so that's why wrist locks can be effective. They're good for controlling a situation. I would teach them to somebody who's working a security of some sort. But when we're talking about self-defense, we're talking about action of violence. We're talking about getting the hell out of a situation. I don't get the hell out of a situation by tying up with somebody and dancing.
There's another Craig Douglason for you there. A shitty, entangled gunfight.
That's right.
And that's where you'll end up if you try to tangle with somebody. It may not be a gunfight, but you'll end up in a bad entanglement. And then you're going to end up on the ground.
I've gotten a little bit older and I'm a little bit sore and a little bit broken. There was a day with all the grappling background I did, the Aikido, the wrestling, all that. And when people tried to put me in wrist locks, I would just somersault out of them. And that gets really frustrating for people.
Yes,
and for me, it was really fun. And learning how to turn that into an action of violence is, it can be done.
Yeah, but now that you're old and broken, I don't see you doing a lot of full
don't
somersaults.
do a lot of
stuff.
somersaults. Yeah.
But
I tried to do a cartwheel
go
with
up
my kids the other day. It was bad.
I take Brian's class, and I've got a not that dissimilar background from Brian in martial arts. A little bit of BJJ, kickboxing, Marine Corps martial arts program, the Modern Army Combatives program, and a few other things here and there. And I always pick up something from Brian's class. I always pick up some little thing, and it's true with the wrist lock things. I'm a huge fan of wrist locks, but I'm really good at doing it. I'm really good at applying them in certain situations.
Do you know what I like wrist locks for? Messing with people. When you're at the bar and you got somebody drunk and they're stupid and their friends are watching them be stupid and not looking to get involved, I like to put somebody in a wrist lock and make them get down on their knees and stand up and sit on the table, but not in self-defense. Not in self-defense.
But it's true is people get focused, and even I still sometimes when we're doing that stuff is I'll get focused on trying to get this wrist lock, and I'm like, well, I've only got one hand occupied here. Let's start wrecking some stuff.
Absolutely. And so that kind of leads right into the question about what's a good martial art to take. Well, the real objective is
not even martial art, but just
what's good stuff to learn.
What's a good fighting style? What's a good school to go to? Because as much as I would love everybody to be able to come to your class, and right now it's only in Prescott Valley once a week. It's going to be twice a month soon.
Right.
You're wanting to expand down into Phoenix and things like that. So for those of you who are local listeners in Arizona, you've got the opportunity to train with Brian. You can always host his classes.
Yeah. Send me some emails. Let's get a class going. Let's even if it's a once a month thing where you just want to come in and take I don't want to call it a seminar, but we'll call it a seminar style class, but we'll actually get hands on, but we're going to talk about a lot of situational, how does this apply to you?
Understanding how everything works and why it works.
Yeah, exactly. So definitely, send us an email, brian@independencetraining.com, and we'll get that going. But like John said, it has to be simple. I know John, a lot of times he's got the BJJ background, so he's real good with the arms and the wrists. All right. And so we'll be going at it. And there's several times where I've been like, all right, now just slide your hand 2 inches to the left. And all of a sudden he's like, oh yeah, that works. It's like there's applications. All right. If I'm training to fight in a ring, I don't necessarily want to break somebody's arm. Self-defense, I want that thing to come off.
Right.
I get excited when I see blood. I want to,
because you're looking for that pain compliance.
You are looking for it to stop.
That's one of the biggest things I see when I spar with other people is it's I'm there to train and learn. So my intention isn't to hurt them, but in the back of my mind, my intention is still to hurt them. From a training environment, I'm not going to hurt them,
right.
But my intention is still
to
hurt them. And so you'll see that a lot with guys who are trained very, very martial arts style or very, dojo style. Is
competitive.
It's competitive. I mean,
point fighting is what we call that. Point fighting.
Yeah.
I touched you, I win.
Yeah. Competitive fighting. And you'll see him go up against someone, like me. I'm a small guy. I'm a lightweight guy. So if I go into a hands-on fight with someone, if I'm to that point where I'm hands-on fighting someone, and I'm an adult now, so I'm not like fighting over some chick I'm dating in high school or something.
You bull rush somebody.
Dude, I always learn the concept of the organized chaos.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's the way I fight. It's like this little control, like a little time bomb goes off. That's kind of what I want to be, because I just want to be like knee deep in someone's ass, like instantly. You know what I mean?
Right now.
And,
it's that element of surprise
everything
too.
I know how to do. I want to be doing everything that I can possibly do. I'm going to use the handful of different fighting styles and martial arts that I know all at the freaking same time, and I have to end it very, very quickly, because I'm not very big. I'm not a huge muscular guy. So if I'm going to go hands-on with someone, I need to end this ASAP.
Here's the bottom line. If somebody gets to the point where you're going hands-on, that person thinks they can beat you up.
Right.
In whatever way, shape, or form. If somebody grabs onto you, that person believes he can dominate your ass.
Right.
He's going to take you wherever he wants to have his way with you. That's why he's grabbing onto you and saying, come here. And so the understanding of that is, like you said, I need this to be a surprise. I have the element of surprise. I can catch this guy off guard. And I need to catch this guy off guard. I need it to be a surprise, and I need to be over quick before he realizes, because you never know. Some of the people on the street, let me explain something to people. Criminals train.
Right.
They teach each other.
No
they
way.
practice. Mm-hmm. They're looking for the easy target. They're looking for the easy victim. They're
not just a bunch of dumb animal idiots.
Those ones are in prison. The ones that are not in prisons, the ones that are on the street, they've either been to prison and don't want to go back, or they're smart enough not to end up there in the first place.
Right.
All right. So they're looking at you, and for some reason they see target. All right. Which is a whole nother topic of discussion. But in the meantime, you need to make this person realize he's made a bad mistake and I don't want to be there. And so we've got that element of surprise. We've got that situation of controlled chaos, extreme violence, and pain.
So how do we train for that? How do we get the average person? I mean, what are they looking to do? What kind of classes should they go take? Obviously, it'd be great if everyone could come and take your class.
It'd be great if
that would be awesome. But
so
the
this
people that are
leads into,
listening to us from all over the country,
Sure.
Where are they looking? Who are they looking to go train with? What are the kind of styles you recommend? And what are the kinds of things that people should be looking for, even in an instructor? Not just because here's the problem. As you well know, and as we found out in our own hometown, there's guys out there who may teach Krav or BJJ or something like that who aren't really teaching Krav, nor are they really teaching BJJ, nor are they really teaching what they think they're teaching. But people with limited to no exposure to fighting are going to go there. They're going to see the stuff. They're going to go, oh, well, this is what I'm supposed to be learning.
Yeah, this guy knows what he's doing, so I'm going to go take these classes.
But he really doesn't. So kind of how do we vet them a little bit?
Sure.
How do we know that what we're taking is really the real deal?
All right. So the first thing we discussed is you have to figure out what you want to do, where you want to be, what you're trying to accomplish. All right. And then you need to look in your town or your area and figure out who does that.
Mm.
And then you need to research that person. Google is your friend. These people have plaques on their wall. They have awards. They have supposed special forces, blah, blah, blah.
We're not calling anybody out or anything here.
They have posters on their wall that dictate organizations that they are certified to be instructing for.
Check that organization.
Check that organization. I mean,
call them up. They'll tell you.
Most martial arts, you don't even have to call them up. If you're supposedly a part of the Krav Maga Association of whatever, you call that or you go online to that website. The really neat thing about that website is it shows all the certified
instructors
throughout the country. This is who pays their dues in here. This is who we've trained with. This is who we say, yeah.
So first do your homework on the instructor.
And sometimes you're going to get to a point where you're like, this isn't the martial art or this isn't the style I wanted to learn, but this guy's the real deal.
Right.
All right. Take his class. I take other people's training all the time. I'm not the best fighter in the world. I've just got a really violent response to things and it makes me successful. All right. There are people, I learn stuff all the time. There's people that I generally can sometimes beat in their own martial art or whatever it is that teach me things all the time. I will take their classes. I will do what they do. And just listening, if you find somebody who legitimately knows what he's doing, who's legitimately spent some time in the environment, you're going to learn something. All right. So start there. anything you learn is going to be better than nothing.
Right.
All right. So even if you take a self-defense class, I teach a lot of palm strikes and elbow strikes, knee strikes, things like that, because I've broken my hands. I personally don't want to break my hands again. I don't want my students to break their hands. I don't want women to curl up a wrong fist and break their hand or their thumb or whatever it is.
Now you got a tool out of the fight.
Now, exactly. Palm strikes work. They hurt just as bad as getting punched, and they don't hurt you for throwing them. All right. So we talk about stuff like that. So now any martial art you take, you can convert their punches into your palm strikes. And then you're going to start simplifying things. All right. So kind of as a rule, there's a few martial arts I really respect. Any strong striking martial art. This isn't necessarily your family karate center, but there's a couple martial arts that are based on, or karates out there that are based on action of force and pain.
What are they?
Kyokushin karate, I'm a big fan in. Kyokushin karate is not a point style fighting. They no pad spar at a good Kyokushin dojo. They don't punch to the face, but they kick to the head and they punch everywhere else. And in a Kyokushin sparring match, yes, they'll judge a fight by points, but the rule is whoever gets knocked out loses, or leg kicked and broken loses. All right. So that's, if you're looking for something to legitimately learn how to throw effective strikes, Muay Thai, Kyokushin karate. There's several others, but really look into your dojo. There's guys teaching regular family karate that still do no pad sparring, punching and kicking. Well, that'd be a good place to go.
Now, you've mentioned that a couple of times, so I want to talk about that. One of the things that's always impressed me about your class is that you start off class with A, physical fitness, because as you mentioned, fighting is exhausting, so we have to be in good shape. And B,
John likes that part too.
I hate that part of this class.
And B, you hit people.
Yeah.
And people hit each other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And now, not in the face, not initially, but you're striking to the body. You're teaching people how to absorb a hit, because the fact of the matter is, and I was talking to Cecil Birch, who we've had on the show before, talking about the gray man concept, and I was talking to him one time about like the first time someone gets hit in the face.
It's over.
In his dojo, and he's teaching combative. He teaches IJJ, immediate action jiu-jitsu, and he's very, very good at it. And the first time someone in his studio, dojo, whatever you want to call it, gets rocked, it changes their religion. They're just
changes your religion. I love it.
Oh my gosh, that freaking was crazy. Whether it hurt a lot or stunned them or whatever. And so you can be the best fighter in the world if you don't understand what it's like to get hit, kicked, thrown to the ground. I mean, I've had the wind knocked out of me more than enough times.
So how do you fight through that?
Someone throws me over, and you're like, I can't breathe. Because someone just remember that ladies class. John and I taught a ladies class one time where I let all the ladies in the class.
I've made that mistake
over and over. I bet I got thrown 50 times that day.
Sure.
Man.
Yeah. And I laughed.
I was a hurting unit, dude.
Well, and the thing is, now if that's a real world situation and you've just got the wind knocked out of you, you just got rocked, I still have to keep myself from getting stabbed.
You still have to get back up on your feet.
On my feet. I still have to get out of that situation. All right. And so, so that is a part of it. Learning how to take a hit. The only thing that truly matters when you're there is protecting your head. Because if you get knocked stupid, you can't do anything else.
Right.
Nothing else works after that.
Got to stay on your feet.
You have to be able to. All right. Now, ground fighting is important because you may end up on the ground. However, in a real self-defense class, your objective is to get your ass back up. You don't want to be there when their friends show up. You don't want to be there rolling around with somebody. You don't want to bounce off a curb, roll over some broken glass, some gravel, whatever it is. All right. Now, that being said, I like BJJ. I like jiu-jitsu. If you can find a dojo where they actually roll with each other and fight on a weekly basis, on a daily basis, you get something out of that. Now, you need to find a way to work more on your stand-up if that's what you're taking. However, if you're doing that on a daily basis, you're getting that endurance, you're getting that concept of I need to win, you're getting that action of violence. Obviously in that type of environment, you're not trying to hurt somebody, but you're also trying not to lose. And so in that aspect, you're going to roll hard. And when you do that, you start getting an understanding for what I need to do to actually defend myself. And so a lot of guys come from an environment like that, and they come into a class or a seminar with me, and all of a sudden they're like, I really like how you transition, because I like I said, I like it because they're going at it. And whenever you're practicing, you're getting something out of it. But now you got to learn how to stand up and simplify it. So now I'm no longer trying to make somebody tap out. I don't care if you tap out. I'm going to break it. I'm going to make it end. And it's funny too, because I'll teach in my class, like if I teach a choke or if an armbar situation where I've got control by using joint manipulation of some sort or pain compliance, when somebody taps in the class, we don't instantly let go. We relieve pressure and we count to 1. and we look down and we say, our training, let him go. Because what happens is that the response where I train something over and over again, that muscle memory, well, anybody on the street who's never taken a fight class before is going to go, oh God, oh, and start tapping. And you're going to be like, yeah, I win the fight.
There's a great video out there actually of a guy who was fighting his neighbor in the driveway. It's on YouTube.
Is this the one in the cul-de-sac?
Yeah. They're in his cul-de-sac, and there's these two guys fighting, and this one guy starts he puts this one dude in a hurt
little
locker.
scrawny dude and a great big fat guy.
Yeah, I mean, little scrawny dude is wrecking this dude's life, and the dude's trying to tap out. He's literally in a no-shit fight, and he's trying to tap out. And of course,
the dude lets him up the first time.
The dude does let him up, like, okay, you've had enough. Then he attacks him again, right? And little dude totally wrecks him.
Right, and did not let go this
time.
time.
And does not let go, but the point is, like, that dude keeps trying to tap out.
Sure. And so we have
because he's never been trained to not do that.
And we have to get over things like that. We have to get over when we're training for a real situation. We have to get over trying to tap out. You know, there's certain situations where I'm willing to let you break my arm if I can drop you on your head in the process, or bite a chunk of the inside of your thigh off, or whatever it is.
Whatever it takes, man.
If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
Right.
And there's no such thing as a fair fight unless you lost. So, and I'm a firm believer in that. I will bite you. I will scratch you. I will put fingers places you don't want them. I will do whatever it takes to go home to my family. And that's all I care about. And that's that action of violence. That's that severe violence. I will. And if I just a warning, if I put my teeth on you, I'm not just going to let go when you say, ow, I'm taking a chunk, a big chunk. And so,
hell yeah, Walking Dead.
Whatever it takes.
So gross.
And that's the big difference, you know. So there's several things you can go out there and do. There's you know, even like what's the kung fu style, the Wing Chun, which was originally for women. And so, well, that becomes an effective martial art, because anytime you're teaching women to defend themselves against men, you can use that. It means it's simplified in some way, shape, or form. I'm not a big fan of the kung fu's because of the big swooping motions. Aikido's neat because you can learn all the joint manipulation stuff, but also I'm not a big fan of Aikido because Aikido is a major self-defense. Somebody is rushing you when you're using those techniques. And other than that, you're just pairing off. Well, I don't want to pair off until you get a lucky shot. I want to, if you put your hands on me, if you come close enough for me to put my hands on you, and understand some of the legal stuff. If you get close enough to me and you're threatening me, I don't have to listen closely. I do not have to wait for you to swing so that I can beat the hell out of you, honky. All right. You know, you've heard the story. You know, you've heard it. I waited for him to swing. I whooped his ass. No.
How come whenever we're making fun of people, we use Southern accents?
That's not cool, man.
Is that because John?
It's so not cool. Inappropriate timing decision. That dude's from the
Listen,
South.
Virginian. Yeah, but Craig doesn't have a Southern accent.
I'm just going to throw this out there, and I know it's horrible.
Neither do you.
I know it's bad.
I think you hide it.
But be honest, when you hear somebody with a Southern accent and you don't know them, you instantly drop their IQ.
Thanks for just dropping our listener base. I'm sorry, Southerners.
We apologize.
I'm not saying it's.
I did not say that. John did not. Our guest said that. Don't unlike us.
The South will rise again. Is it not the right time for that?
Yeah.
Too soon, dude.
Moving on.
All right. so we've got just a couple minutes left of the show. So what I want to do is just in 1 minute, tell me the things that the person who's listening to the show who wants to learn how to fight without a gun is trying to figure out what hand-to-hand stuff they should do. We've covered a lot of stuff today, but in 1 minute, tell me like the 5 things that you would go out and start learning, not necessarily in order, but what are the 5 things, not in any order, not even at the same time, but just the 5 things that you would go out and learn. Go.
All right. First, as we go into these things, keep it simple. When it gets complicated, you're too far gone. All right. So that's where we're going to start. You need to learn to punch. You need to learn to kick.
Okay.
You need to learn to put knees and elbows.
Now,
on
what kind of
targets.
kicks? Because, there's 2 kinds of kicks. You got high kicks and you got waist and down.
My philosophy is nothing goes above the pubic area.
There you go.
All right. That's the philosophy. Nothing goes above the pubic area.
So punches and kicks, 1 and 2.
Right. Punches and kicks, 1 and kick, or effective striking. All right. And then you need to learn what it feels like to get up and close and personal. So if you can take a jiu-jitsu class or a wrestling class or something like that.
Bad breath distance.
Exactly. I need to smell your intent. All right. And that does a couple things for us. It helps us to
keep going.
Went there. It helps us to understand the situation.
Right.
And not be freaked out by it. All right. So, and then also you need to understand the philosophy when you're fighting, forward is the way. What's going on behind me?
I can't look at this guy when we're doing a show. Freaking
I'm so
Adam's
uncomfortable.
been out of the room most of the time. He just comes back in. He's back there making hand puppet motions. I'll explain after the show. You go.
So get close, get comfortable. And then this is a perfect example.
Yeah.
Understand situational awareness.
Right.
Understand your environment. Start learning that kind of stuff. Start practicing the mucking drills, the understanding how to manage unknown contacts, how to incorporate things, and how to react to situations. Get people to make you feel uncomfortable. Call John. He's good at that.
He is good at making people
Oh
feel
my gosh.
uncomfortable.
His creeper face makes me feel like he just got out of prison and he's going to run straight through a strip bar to rape me. It's terrible.
All right, so let's cover these 5 things while John creepily stares at you. So striking, managing
Effective striking.
effective striking. Good
Keep
effective
it
striking.
simple.
Whatever art style, doesn't matter. Good solid strikes. Managing unknown contacts, or how to talk
How to
to
talk.
people.
Your verbal judo.
Getting comfortable being close to people. Being comfortable being, someone being in your
In that
space and all that.
environment.
Right. What was another one?
All right. And so we're just going to roll on as long with the managing unknown contacts.
Yeah.
Understand, set yourself up in situations, train situations where you realize at what point I need to take action. Is it when he touches me? Is it when he swings at me? Is it when he opens his mouth?
Okay.
So,
So 4 would be more like
Situational awareness.
situational awareness,
Situational
right?
awareness,
And then
exactly.
5 is learning how to get hit.
learning
You
how to
gotta
get it.
be
You have
hit.
to. You
At
have
some
to
point in
keep
time,
your
you have to
hands
take some
protecting
strikes.
your head. You have to keep your hands protecting your head. If you try to block a punch to the stomach that wasn't going to hurt you in the first place,
And the next one is
and
to
then
your head.
get rocked as
Yeah.
a result, I'd rather, even if it knocks the wind out of me, take the punch to the stomach than get knocked stupid.
So on our Facebook page on the Arms Room, we did post a video with Brian where I did an interview with him for Independence Training about the combative defense tactics class and kind of what that class is about. If you can attend it, great. If you can't, it'll give you an idea of some of the other things that Brian is looking for in a class. He talks a lot about the way he teaches classes and what he likes to teach, what he likes to cover in this video. So it's a good video to go watch, and it's posted on our Facebook page for the Arms Room. So essentially, this is kind of what we're focused on. We're focused on learning how to fight without a gun. That's our main focus. And to do that, we want to learn good, effective strikes. We want to learn how to talk to people, how to manage unknown contacts. We want to learn situational awareness. We want to learn how to take a hit. What was the other one?
Get it up and close and personal.
Learn how to get up close and personal. So those are kind of the 5 things that Brian's going to recommend to everybody, regardless of what style. If you're in a fighting style that's not teaching one of those things, that's fine. Maybe go look for something else or figure out how you can learn those in whatever style you're learning. And, my whole take on the whole thing, just from a personal note, is I've just trained in a lot of different things. I've never,
Exactly.
and now there's kind of a problem to that because I've never really mastered anything, but I've taken a lot of a lot. And so it gives me the capability to kind of use some different techniques and understand different things.
Absolutely.
And so that's always a recommendation I give to people as well. Like, don't just get stuck in one thing and just be a BJJ guy or just be a Kyokushin karate guy or just be a Muay Thai
Jiu-jitsu,
guy or
whatever it
whatever.
is, yep.
Go learn some different styles because there's going to be situations where whatever you know doesn't necessarily always apply. So I want to say thanks to Brian.
Thanks for having me on the show.
For coming in, man. We really appreciated it. Next week, I have to look up our calendar real quick. Sorry. Next week, I think we're talking about deep concealment, which is Adam's favorite topic. He likes to keister carry just about everything.
Still prison wallet, baby.
All right. So next week, we're going to be talking about, everyday carry in non-permissive environments. So basically, what are the things that we carry when we go to California? What are the things that we carry when we're at a courtroom, or what do we carry when we got to fly on a plane?
Also,
or what do
another
we
reason
carry?
to learn how to defend yourself.
It's a perfect follow-up for this. So we're going to be talking about non-permissive environments and the kind of tools and equipment that we may carry or the kind of skill sets that we're looking to perfect. And honestly, a lot of it's going to be about managing people and avoiding violence altogether. The best way to avoid violence is to avoid violence. So that's what we're going to be talking about next week. Again, thanks to Brian for coming into the studio and talking with us. So until now, do we get some outro music? Mason, where you at with that? You don't wait on me. You do it to tell me it's time to go.
He talks for like
train
another
this
2
guy
minutes.
up. There we go.
Oh my Lord.
See, now that outro music calms me down. All right. So next week we're going to be talking about non-permissive environments, Until then, stay aware, stay safe, train hard. You've been listening to The Arms Room.
Can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the past